This is Super Yacht News with E. Sisman.
Hi, welcome back to the channel. Okay, so it is 24th of December. So if you hear any awful Christmas music playing in the background, that's where it's coming from. So I apologize for that in advance, but what can you do? All right, so we'll move on to the first story. We've got an update on Motor Yacht Victorious. Now, if you saw the last video, we told a story of Victorious rescuing some people from a stricken catamaran. Got some more details on that story because there were very little details at the time. The first thing is a small correction. The date we gave in the first video was the 12th of December, but it actually happened on the 14th of December. I'll give you a quick run over the story again. So the distress call from the catamaran was picked up at the Fort de France Maritime Rescue Coordination Center in Martinique. They received a distress signal from the catamaran, which was the name of the catamaran was the Star 1, which was approximately 500 miles off the island of Martinique. So the Search and Rescue Center, they issued a series of distress relays in order to reach vessels in the area. Distress relay basically is what it sounds like. They relay the distress message from the vessel and they send it out. There's two types of distress. There's an audible one, which is a distress call, which will explain to you over the radio what's happening. There's also something called DSC, which is digital selective calling, which sends out it's like an email, if you like, but on the radio on the bridge you'll get an alarm that you have to press a button on to stop that alarm. It's very loud, and that will tell you that there is a distress, and there'll be a message on the screen about the distress. So they sent these out in the area. Now, Motor Yacht Victorious was sailing across the Atlantic towards the Caribbean. I think they were going to St. Martin, and they picked up the distress and the distress relay, and they altered course, and they were given a search pattern by the coordination center. Now, they spent the next 16 hours searching for this vessel, and also the information that they had was very scarce. And they attempted to contact the catamaran's crew by radio, but there was no response. And the information they had about the last known location was 23 hours old. Now, obviously, they'd gone into a life raft at this point, and the life raft could have drifted, so it was really tricky to find someone when the data is 23 hours old, should I say. On the 15th of December, while completing the search operation in the second area they'd been given, Victorious spotted a red flare approximately 1 nautical mile away. Now, I got a photograph here from the crew or from the captain of Victorious, and it is the strangest photograph. And I actually contacted them and said, "What is going on there? What are they using there?" This thing shining into the sky, it kind of reminded me of the things they do in New York every year with 9/11 building, and they send those signals up into the sky. And I asked him what it was, and he said there is no device. He said it's just a distress rocket. He said the white beam is simply an accidental effect on the photo since it was taken at night while the vessel was rolling and pitching, or it's God's torch pointing us at the people in distress. Anyway, she went to the location and rescued the 5 people. The captain also gave me this photograph, and you can see it's the crew and the crew of the people that they rescued, the crew of the catamaran. And I asked him which ones were which, and he said he doesn't want to say who they are because they're all wearing the crew uniform of the Yacht Victorious, because they would have been pulled out of the water, they've been soaking wet, and the only clothing that they will have available on board is crew uniform. So they gave him crew uniform, but he said, just look for the happiest people in the photograph, which I thought was great. So yeah, so that was just an update for you there. They also were given a certificate of merit from the Martinique Search and Rescue Center, which I'll put on screen now. So that's a great story, isn't it? Especially for Christmas. All right, so we'll move on now to the title of this video. You might remember we reported on this story involving a yacht called Utopia IV and an oil product tanker named the MT Tropic Breeze. Now, unbelievably, this was a year ago today, 24th of December 2021, we reported on this. I mean, time has flown, hasn't it? But For those of you who missed it, because we have had almost doubled our subscribers in 2022, so a lot of people probably don't remember this story. So what happened is there was Utopia IV and this oil tanker in the Bahamas. Utopia IV was moving at approximately 19 knots at night in the Bahamas when she came across this tanker. She crashed into the rear quarter of the tanker, and as a result of that, the tanker sank. Now, the crew of the tanker went into a life raft, and the crew of Utopia IV assisted with the rescue of them. Another yacht in the area, motor yacht Amara, they came to the rescue as well. And after they rescued the people from the life raft, they were put onto Amara. Now, the reason why is Utopia IV was also taking on water, and they weren't sure if they were going to sink or not at that time, middle of the night. And then after that, they headed back to port, and Motor Yacht Amara escorted the yacht back to port just to ensure that everybody was safe. So another great story about search and rescue from a motor yacht. The yacht was owned by Market America co-founder J.R. Ridinger, and the vessel was on charter at the time in the Bahamas. And you can see this footage here. This is footage of the charter guests being thrown off their chairs at the moment of impact. So quite a brutal moment of impact there. Shows you the speed that the vessel was moving at for that to happen. So following the accident, a series of allegations were made against the captain of the yacht, who was on watch at the time of the incident. Now, I've mentioned in other videos that sometimes on a smaller yacht, the captain will take a watch. And in this case, that was what was happening. Now, what it was alleged is that he was on the bridge with a lookout, somebody who's normally a deckhand or maybe the bosun, and he's not qualified to take a watch, but he's able to work with the watchkeeper to keep a lookout with binoculars and stuff like that. So it was claimed that the captain, who was on watch at the time, he actually left the bridge 10 minutes prior to the accident, and he left this lookout on the bridge on his own, which is illegal. Now, that is an allegation. We have not been able to confirm that independently. It was also later claimed that the captain was under the influence of alcohol. Again, something that we've not been able to confirm independently. It was alleged that as the yacht arrived back in the Bahamas after the accident, and the captain was at the helm trying to dock the vessel, that he almost crashed the vessel and was being shouted at by the port authorities on the radio to move over because he was pointing the yacht in the wrong direction. At this point, the story goes that the chief officer took over and safely docked the vessel. A number of the crew sustained injuries in the accident, and they were taken to hospital. Some have described their injuries as life-changing. So a number of the crew on board Utopia IV at the point of impact were knocked over, or subsequently afterwards, because the boat was rolling quite a lot at the time. When you're underway, you have stabilizers. So the stabilizers work underway, but when you stop, you can put them into 0 speed and they will continue to stabilize the vessel. But you have to press a button on there as you stop, the stabilizers stop functioning. And because he wasn't on the bridge, he never did that, and the vessel was rolling quite heavily, and it caused some of the crew to be injured more. Now, the owner, J.R. Ridinger, he died in 2022. He had a pulmonary embolism whilst on another yacht in Croatia. So the vessel got taken out of the water, investigations happening because of the accident. A US Coast Guard were involved because the vessel is a US registered yacht. And the crew went home, but there were allegations from former crew that they never received their final salaries. And also, some of them required medical treatment and surgeries, and the yacht owners refused to pay for some of that, for some of the surgeries and some of the other medical expenses. So they said they didn't receive their final salaries after the boat was recovered, and some crew allegedly stopped being paid 2 days after the accident. Now, that reminds me of another ship that did that very thing to the crew. The crew were only paid up until the day she foundered, and that ship was the Titanic. And the story goes that the crew only got paid until the day the ship sank. They didn't get the final salary of that month because they only got paid up until the day, because they're like, well, the ship sank, so you didn't work the rest of the month. But that was over 100 years ago. Like, I thought we moved on from that after 100 years, right? So unfortunately, the crew had to file lawsuits against the yacht and the yacht owner, and they are currently going through the courts. The thing is, the crew sacrificed a lot to work at sea. I'm not trying to paint a sad picture or anything, but we go away to sea for long periods of time. You know, we live in small crew quarters, shared cabins. We sacrifice a lot. We get paid well, but we sacrifice a lot to do those jobs. And they're working, I mean, they were injured in the service of the boat, which is owned by the yacht owner, right? So it's unfortunate when a yacht owner refuses to pay, or allegedly refuses to pay for anything like this. Now the yacht is, because the yacht is US registered, it falls under the Jones Act, which is a US federal law which has been around since the 1920s, which requires ship owners to provide medical care to all crew. Now, we went to the owner of the vessel. Now, the vessel is now owned by the widow of J.R. Ridinger. Her name is Loren Ridinger. And the vessel has since been repaired, by the way, and is up for sale. Now, we got a statement back from her legal department, and it says that the motor yacht Utopia IV is aware of allegations made by former crew members in regard to the unfortunate collision with the MT Tropic Breeze on December 24th, 2021. Since the incident occurred, management has cared for the crew of the vessel and can confirm known medical bills and daily maintenance have been paid in conformance with US maritime law. Due to pending crew lawsuits, counterclaims, and out of respect of the legal process, it would be inappropriate for us to comment further at this time. So that's the official word from Loren Ridinger and her lawyers. All right, so I'm going to leave it there. I hope that we'll have a Christmas miracle maybe, and then they will all get paid the money that they're owed for their final salaries. Especially these days when the cost of living crisis that we all seem to be in all over the world. One would hope that they will get their final money. All right, so I'm going to leave it there. Don't forget to vote in our poll for Super Yacht of the Year. This is based on the one that's had the most impact on the yachting world in 2022, not necessarily about which one you find is your favorite yacht. Now, if you look in the description of this video, you'll find a link to that poll. I will also post it again, repost it, so you should see it in your feed. Please be sure to vote if you haven't already. And also remember to check out our Patreon page. We've just uploaded vlog 8 of the Atlantic crossing vlog, which is something that I filmed on a yacht, one of the yachts I worked on in the past. It's been quite popular on Patreon, so be sure to go over to Patreon and check it out. Become a supporter of the channel. You'll also get to see advanced release of features with no adverts and things like that. All right, I'm going to leave it there. If you've got any information for us, please be sure to get in touch with the normal fashions. You can get us on the About page of the YouTube channel. You can get us on Instagram, on Facebook Messenger. You can also get us on Threema. Be sure to like this video, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell for future notifications. All right, guys, have a great time, and I'll catch up with you soon. Bye-bye. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you have a great Christmas, if that's what you. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you have a great Christmas or whatever it is that you do. Yeah, that last bit up. All right, guys, have a great time, and I'll catch up with you soon. Bye-bye.